advantage to such moral rules.
If religion went away tomorrow, all religion, would we become immoral? Would we start to, not that man and woman doesn't do it now, but would suddenly people start to kill and rape and more people because there was not religion?
I mean, there are people who think that. It's an extraordinary suggestion when you think about it, that the only reason we don't kill and rape is that we're scared of God. I mean, what a contemptible reason for being good, what a contemptible reason for refraining from killing and raping is that you're just frightened of being found out by the great spy camera in the sky. If it is like that, that's a very, very pessimistic view of humanity. I don't believe that. I certainly don't feel any impulse to do selfish, immoral things, to kill and rape. And it's nothing to do with being frightened of being found out by the police. I don't believe in the celestial policeman, of course. But I don't believe that if earthly policemen were removed, I would immediately start stealing and raping and things. I think all of us have built into us a feeling of empathy, of sympathy, of regard for others, of the golden rule being deeply built into us. I really care if you suffer or if somebody else suffers. I don't want to make anybody else suffer. You're the same. Other people are the same. This is part of our human nature. And insofar as religion teaches the same thing, that's incidental. If religion went away, we'd still do it.
What changed for you after 9/11? What views changed for you?
I think before that, I think I regarded religion as relatively harmless nonsense. After 9/11, I saw it as pernicious and potentially very dangerous nonsense.
Because the planes flew in a tower and killed 2,000 people, or because somebody believed?
Well, I saw very clearly then that it's possible for good people, righteous people, actually in a funny kind of way moral people, to do terrible, terrible things because they've been brought up to believe without question that this was the right thing to do. Those 19 men who flew planes into targets in the United States, every one of them believed they were doing the right thing. They thought they were good people. They thought their God wanted to do that. They sincerely and utterly and faithfully believed that that's what their God wanted them to do. They believed they were going to their heavenly reward for doing that. I think that's what I finally realized at that point, that there is a logical pathway that goes from implicit religious faith to doing terrible, terrible things. There is no logical pathway that goes from atheism to doing terrible, terrible things.
When you read some of C.S. Lewis's work, I think he liked to be called Jack Lewis, but C.S. Lewis's work, who was a Christian communicator with a fertile mind and great intellect, why do you think somebody who is Rhodes Scholar, top of the chain thinker is grabbed by faith?
Well, I mean, you could pick a much better target than C.S. Lewis, and you could pick some actually very distinguished scientists. He, after all, was a professor of English, and no doubt a very good one. But when you read some of his arguments, I mean, they're just pathetic. They're things like, well, Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, so either Jesus was mad or bad, or he really was the Son of God. I mean, it didn't seem to occur to him that Jesus could simply have been mistaken, sincerely and honestly mistaken. I mean, what a pathetic argument.
Or that Tom Harper posits in his newest book, Water to Wine, and he's a former Anglican priest, columnist, respected in this country, that he's not sure if a man named Jesus walked the earth. He's just not sure. But he is sure that in all of us is a divine spark. And what religion should be about, and I'm really paraphrasing, is evolution of the soul.
Yes, I'm not sure what's meant by the divine spark. I think there's something very special about humans, in the sense that we are the only animals that have language, we're the only animals that we positively know have subjective consciousness, although I suspect that others do. There is a great gulf between us and other animals. I'm not sure that it helps to call it divine spark, though.
It feels good, I must say, to think that we all have that spark and we're connected somehow with some kind of consciousness. If it's nature, I don't know what it is, but as you suggested, we care about fellow man, and that's a good thing.
Yes, I mean, I think it does feel good, and I think there is something possibly unique in that as well. I don't know. I suspect that other animals perhaps do have something of the same empathy.
Right, but then there's genocide in Rwanda, or genocide in Darfur.
Oh yes, oh yes. I mean, don't let's get too rosy spectacled about this.
No. So, if you were to explain the design of the universe, how many options do you have? A couple, 3?
Well, do you mean scientific options?
Why are we here?
Well, if you ask why life is the way it is, the answer to that is a Darwinian answer, and that's well worked out. If you ask why life came into existence in the first place, you're then thrown into a rather difficult question of why the universe had the properties that were friendly towards the development of life. And it looks as though it did. I mean, there's some sense in which if the fundamental constants of the universe, physicists recognize about half a dozen numbers which are the way they are, but nobody knows why. The strength of gravity has a number attached to it. And if it were different from that, the universe would not be friendly to life. There would be no stars, for example. And if you don't have stars, you don't have chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, you can't have life. So the gravitational constant had to be pretty much exactly the way it is. And you can ask the question, well, how did that come about? And there are various options. You ask about options for explaining that. One would be, there's only one way for a universe to be, and we just don't understand enough about it yet. Another would be, God did it. And that's a very unsatisfactory explanation, because you're left without an explanation for God. A third would be, there are billions of universes, and we just live in one. And of all those billions of universes, many of them have the wrong values of those constants, like the gravitational constant, so they don't have life in them. There may be only a tiny minority of universes that has life in them. But of course, we have to be in one of those tiny minorities, because here we are sitting talking about it. So with hindsight, we have to be in the kind of universe that has the right constants to make stars, to make chemistry, to make life. That's the anthropic principle. And I find it satisfying, provided you don't find it too implausible that there are billions of universes, and physicists have other reasons for thinking that there are.